Millionaire CEO shocked as a young woman rushes through the silent hallway of his Manhattan penthouse tower, carrying a bundled baby pressed tight to her chest. Her coat is thin, her hands shaking, her eyes fixed on the polished door that looks nothing like the world she comes from. She sets the baby down, leaves a folded note, and knocks once, hard. By the time the door opens, she's already gone, swallowed by the stairwell. The CEO freezes at the sight of the child, staring at the message addressed directly to him. The note begins with 5 words that stop him cold. Before we start, tell us from which city are you watching from, and don't forget to drop your thoughts at the end. Enjoy the story. Elena Ward grew up on the far edge of Brooklyn, in a neighborhood where the buses never ran on time, and the corner stores locked their milk behind plastic doors. She was the kind of kid who learned early how to stretch a dollar, how to fix a broken heater with tape, and how to keep moving even when everything around her slowed. Her mother, Lena, worked 2 jobs and repeated the same phrase whenever life hit hard. Stand, even when no one holds you up. Elena carried that line everywhere. Through childhood, through grief, through adulthood. By 24, she was a single mother raising her son, Micah. In a cramped basement unit with one window facing an alley. The place smelled like damp concrete in winter, but it was theirs. She lived paycheck to paycheck, sweeping office floors at night in a Manhattan tower that never slept. She'd walk past polished marble, past people drinking sparkling water like it was nothing, and she'd slip into the service elevator unnoticed. The difference between their world and hers showed up in every hallway, every cafeteria, where workers had tap water while executives ordered catered lunches. Still, Elena avoided pity. She believed in effort, not excuses. She believed that dignity was something you protected quietly. When she had only $6.25 to last a week, she hid it deep in her coat pocket, not because it was precious, but because it proved she could manage on her own. Her life wasn't defined by what she lacked, but by what she refused to surrender. And at the center of that was Micah, her reason for waking, working, and fighting. Every decision she made traced back to the creed her mother left her. Stand. Always. Even now. Especially now. Elena's fragile hope arrived in the form of a single envelope slipped under her apartment door. Notice from a community assistance program partnered with Whitmore Holdings, the same corporation whose floors she scrubbed at night. A clerical oversight placed her on a short-term support list meant for employees' families. Normally, someone like her would never qualify, but for the first time in months, she saw a possible path. Temporary child care vouchers, a medical appointment for Micah, and a small housing subsidy that could keep her from being pushed onto the street. It wasn't charity to her, it was air. With Micah's breathing issues growing worse and rent due again, the assistance could buy her time. Enough to find steadier work. Enough to stop choosing between bus fare and baby formula. If the opportunity collapsed, everything else would follow. The apartment, the clinic visits, even the hope she tried so hard to protect. She clutched the envelope the way someone else might hold a winning lottery ticket. It wasn't wealth, but it meant survival. It meant she could keep standing. But the program wasn't built for people like her. And one mistake buried in a file was all it would take for someone above her pay grade to notice and take it away. The letter summoning Elena to a verification meeting arrived 3 days after she submitted her paperwork. She assumed it was routine, just a check-in, maybe a missing signature. She dressed Micah warm, dropped him with her neighbor for an hour, and took the packed morning train into Midtown, holding the envelope like it might prove her honesty by itself. The meeting wasn't in a small office, as she expected. It was in the corporate lobby of Whitmore Holdings. Open space, glass walls, polished floors that echoed every step. Employees in suits drifted past with lattes and earbuds. Elena stood out instantly, her thrift store coat and scuffed sneakers marking her as someone who didn't belong. A woman named Marjorie Tate, a senior compliance manager, approached with a stiff smile. "Ms. Ward, follow me." They stopped in full view of reception. No privacy, no dignity. Marjorie began reading from a file, her voice sharp enough to cut through the chatter around them. "It appears you obtained benefits through misrepresentation. You are not, nor have you ever been, affiliated with Whitmore Holdings. This constitutes attempted fraud." Elena blinked. "Fraud? No, I was told I qualified. I submitted everything they asked for." Marjorie held up a hand. "You lied on the application." "I didn't lie," Elena said, heart pounding. "There must have been a mix-up. I didn't even know about the program until you exploited a clerical error." "That's still fraud." People had stopped to watch. A security guard edged closer. Elena felt heat rising in her face, shame curling in her stomach. "Please," she whispered, "my son, he needs." "This is not about your personal choices," Marjorie said, voice colder now. "You will be removed from the assistance list immediately, and you are barred from entering Whitmore Holdings property, except during your overnight janitorial shifts." The guard took her elbow. "Wait, please, I didn't do anything wrong. At least let me explain. This conversation is over." Her words bounced off the marble like they didn't belong there either. She was escorted through the lobby as whispers followed. By the time she reached the sidewalk, her fragile hope, housing vouchers, clinic appointments, a chance to breathe, had vanished. That night, Micah's cough turned ragged, his tiny chest tightening with every breath. The urgent care clinic quoted a price she couldn't afford. She stared at her phone, hesitating before typing the name she hadn't said aloud in years. Grant Whitmore. The man who once promised her dying mother he would protect them. He never replied. And by dawn, Elena knew she was out of options. Grant Whitmore began his morning the way he always did. Silence, black coffee, an untouched view of the Manhattan skyline. His life ran on precision. Quarterly reports, board calls, predictable routines. Nothing ever arrived unplanned. Nothing ever breached the order he built to keep the world at a manageable distance. So when he opened his penthouse door to a baby lying on a folded blanket, everything inside that controlled existence jolted out of place. Micah stared up at him with wide, confused eyes. Not crying, just watching. Grant froze. A note rested on the blanket. His name written in handwriting he recognized, but couldn't place at first. Looping, desperate, slightly trembling. "You promised to protect us. Don't break it." He read the line 3 times. The past slid into focus, not through emotion, but memory. He was 21 again, a volunteer legal intern at a Brooklyn women's shelter, trying to prove to himself that privilege didn't define him. Lena Ward, the gentle woman with tired eyes, had asked him to look after her daughter if anything ever happened. He had nodded, naive and idealistic, believing good intentions could stand in for follow-through. He never visited again. He never checked what became of the girl. Now she had left a baby at his door. He carried Micah inside, awkwardly, as though holding something fragile he had no right to touch. His staff panicked, calling for security, legal counsel, crisis managers. "Sir, this could be extortion. Sir, you need to distance yourself. Sir, the optics." Grant raised a hand, said nothing. His mind was already elsewhere. He replayed the humiliation he'd overheard about the compliance review the day before. His team mocking a woman from Brooklyn who'd tried to cheat the system. He hadn't known it was her then. He hadn't cared. That was the problem. Now the pieces came together. The mistake in the records, the harsh removal, the baby left at his door. For the first time in years, Grant felt unsteady. The penthouse around him, quiet, spotless, expensive, suddenly felt like a witness to something he had avoided for too long: the consequences of walking away from promises made to people with far less power than him. He held the note again. 6 words. A lifetime of wait. He knew what he had to do next. Grant found Elena at the Midtown Social Services Center, a building where the air always felt heavy, where families waited for hours under flickering lights. He spotted her in line, holding Micah close, exhaustion carved into the slump of her shoulders. She didn't see him at first. She was too focused on keeping her place in the slow-moving queue. When he stepped toward her, the room shifted. People recognized him. Wealth like his didn't blend in here. "Elena Ward," he said quietly. She stiffened, turned. Her eyes hardened the moment they met his. "You had no right to take him," she whispered. Enough anger to shake even someone like him. "He was at my door," Grant replied. "You left him." "I didn't abandon him," she snapped. "I asked for help the only way you people notice." Heads turned. The waiting room listened. Grant lowered his voice. "Let me fix what happened. You didn't commit fraud. My staff mishandled your case." Elena laughed under her breath, not amused, but tired. Very tired. "You showing up here doesn't fix anything. It just proves how easy life is for you." "I'm here to pull your file," he said, "to reverse the decision." "No." Her voice rose enough for the front desk clerk to glance over. "I don't need a CEO marching in to rescue me in front of everyone. That's not help. That's a performance." People murmured, some nodded. Grant felt the weight of all those eyes, people who had spent years being ignored by systems he benefited from. "Elena," he tried again, "my company wronged you. I'm responsible. Let me make it right." She stepped forward, chin lifted, and said loud enough for the entire room, "I don't want you to fix my life in public like I'm a mistake you can erase. I want fairness. I want dignity. I want the truth acknowledged. That's all." Her words cut through the space like a challenge. Grant swallowed. "Then I challenge the decision officially. Right here, right now." He walked to the service counter, past the line, past the stairs, and stated, clearly enough for everyone to hear, that Whitmore Holdings had wrongfully accused Elena Ward, and that he, as CEO, demanded her case reopened. A hush swept the room. The staff scrambled. Phones rang. Supervisors rushed out from back offices. For the first time, Elena wasn't being dismissed, escorted away, or silenced. Her name was being fought for, in a place where no one expected a man like Grant Whitmore to stand. And that moment changed the direction of everything that came next. Hashtag, 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 hashtag. Elena barely stepped outside the building before she was intercepted by Aunt Rochelle, the woman who had raised her on and off after her mother passed. Rochelle was practical to the point of bluntness, shaped by years of fighting systems that rarely bent. She had heard about the scene inside. News traveled fast among the social workers she volunteered with. "What did you think you were doing in there?" Rochelle demanded, crossing her arms. "Calling out a man like that in public? Bringing his attention to you? That's not strength, Elena. That's trouble." Elena held Micah tighter. "I didn't ask him to come, and I didn't ask for him to fix anything." Rochelle shook her head, eyes sharp. "You pushed him into a corner. Men with power don't like being cornered. They retaliate quietly. You think he's here to help you? He's here to clean up his mess, not yours." "That's exactly why I spoke up," Elena said. "Because people like him only fix things when the world is watching." Her aunt stepped closer, lowering her voice. "And what about that baby you left on his doorstep? You know how the system reads something like that. You could lose him forever. Elena's throat tightened. I didn't leave him. I kept him safe. I needed Whitmore to see what this cost. Rochelle sighed, deep, disappointed. Your mother wanted you to stand on your own 2 feet, not throw yourself into the jaws of someone else's world. Pride is good, child, but pride mixed with desperation? That's dangerous. Elena felt the familiar sting of being misunderstood. I'm doing everything I can. Everything. Rochelle softened, but only slightly. Then be careful. Powerful men don't change because you demand it. They change when it serves them. Elena looked back at the building, where Grant still spoke with staff inside. For the first time, she wondered which version of him she had just awakened. Grant caught up to Elena halfway down the block. She didn't slow. Not for him. Not for the footsteps echoing behind her. Elena, wait. She kept walking. I don't need another public scene. He stepped in front of her, forcing her to stop. You accused me of performing, but you won't even let me talk to you. You already talked, she said, in there, loud enough for everyone to hear. That wasn't a performance, Grant insisted. Your file was mishandled. I had to intervene. Elena shifted Micah in her arms, jaw tightening. You think I wanted you to swoop in like some savior? I asked for fairness, not a spotlight. There's a difference. He exhaled sharply. You left your child at my door, with a note telling me not to break a promise I barely understood. What was I supposed to think? Elena flushed. Anger, embarrassment, exhaustion rolled into one. I was desperate. And I knew the system wouldn't listen unless someone with power forced it to. You think I'm proud of what I did? Grant hesitated. Then let me help now. Help, she repeated, almost laughing. You mean charity. It's not charity, he said. You were wronged. I'm trying to correct it. No, she snapped. You're trying to correct how it looks. That lobby humiliation didn't matter to you until the consequences landed at your front door. He stiffened. That's not fair. Neither is any of this, she shot back. You walk into a room and people bend rules for you. I walk into a room and they assume I'm lying. We don't live in the same world, Grant. You don't get to act like we do. His silence confirmed she was right. Elena continued, softer but still firm. I've been standing on my own since I was a teenager. Every job, every doctor bill, every night shift. I don't want your pity. It's not pity, he said again, quieter this time. It's responsibility. She looked at him then, really looked. The polished CEO who never had to ask for a second chance. The man who once promised her mother protection and vanished. The person she had dragged back into her life because she had run out of options. Responsibility doesn't erase what happened, she said, and it doesn't make us equals. Grant swallowed, unsure how to bridge the space between them. Elena stepped back. You can fix the paperwork. You can fix your mistake. But don't pretend you're fixing me. She turned and walked away, leaving him standing on the sidewalk, surrounded by the noise of a city that didn't care who he was. Yet he felt smaller than he ever had before. 2 days later, the situation forced them together, whether they liked it or not. The city's Social Assistance Review Board scheduled an emergency hearing to investigate Elena's case. Standard protocol whenever accusations of fraud collided with corporate intervention. Both parties were required to attend, the applicant and the representative of the corporation involved. Elena couldn't refuse, and Grant wasn't allowed to send a substitute. They sat at the same long table in a cramped municipal office that smelled of old carpet and stale coffee. A flickering light overhead buzzed like it was tired of staying alive. Outside the door, people waited for appointments that determined their ability to keep the lights on. Elena glanced at Grant only when necessary. He wore a suit that didn't belong in a place like this. She wore the same coat she'd been wearing the day everything fell apart. "Miss Ward," the board officer began, "we need a detailed timeline from both sides." And so they spoke, together. Grant explained how the clerical error occurred. Elena explained how she followed every instruction. He outlined the corporate policy. She described the humiliation in the lobby. Their words didn't overlap, but slowly, painfully, they began to line up. Two pieces of a story neither could tell alone. At one point, the officer asked Elena to confirm that Grant wasn't offering payment, incentives, or favors in exchange for her silence. Elena stiffened. "No," she said. "He's here because he has to be. And because someone should tell the truth." Grant glanced at her, not with pride, not with superiority, but with something closer to understanding. By the end of the session, they weren't allies, but they weren't adversaries either. They were two people, reluctantly connected by a mistake that demanded cooperation, whether either of them wanted it or not. The hearing ended with a promise of follow-up, not resolution. Elena stepped outside into the cold air first, adjusting Micah's blanket while he slept against her shoulder. Grant followed a moment later, the automatic doors sighing shut behind him. For a long stretch of sidewalk, neither spoke. Finally, Elena said, "You don't have to walk with me." "I know," Grant replied, but he stayed anyway. They reached a bench outside the building, rusted metal, peeling paint, and Elena sat to catch her breath. She looked exhausted in a way Grant couldn't quantify. Not tired, but worn down by years of carrying more than one person should. Micah stirred. She soothed him with practiced hands. Grant watched, unsure what to do with the ache forming in his chest. "I didn't realize how broken the system is," he said quietly. Elena gave a soft, humorless laugh. "You didn't need to realize. It never touched you." He accepted that. "You're right." She looked at him, surprised he didn't argue. They sat in silence until Grant finally spoke again. "I've spent my entire career trying to maintain control. Order, investors, boards, public image. Every hour of my life has been managed. But walking into that waiting room, seeing you there." He paused, searching for words he'd never said aloud. "I realized how little control I actually have. How much of my life is dictated by expectations I didn't choose." Elena studied him. "You think that compares to fighting for survival?" "No," he said honestly. "But it's still a cage, just made of different material." The words hung between them, unexpectedly leveling. Elena shifted Micah and sighed. "You know what scared me the most that night, leaving him at your door. Not that you'd be angry, not that you'd call the police. What scared me was the thought you wouldn't care at all." Grant absorbed that deeply. "I cared," he said, voice steady. "I just didn't know how to show it, or how to fix something so much bigger than me." Elena looked down at her sleeping son. "I've been trapped in one kind of life for so long that I stopped imagining anything else. Every choice feels like a corner. Every moment feels like it's closing in." "And I've been trapped in another kind," Grant replied. "One where I'm expected to solve problems with money, distance, or silence. Never with honesty." She met his eyes again. For the first time, there was no anger between them. Just two people from opposite ends of the city, realizing that struggle didn't look the same for everyone, but it still held them both. And that neither could move forward without confronting the truths they'd buried. The follow-up hearing took place inside a crowded municipal boardroom, where metal chairs scraped the floor, and every voice carried. Elena sat at one end of the long table, Grant at the other. This time, half the room consisted of Whitmore Holdings staff, including Marjorie Tate, summoned to clarify procedural conduct. Elena's pulse thudded in her ears when Marjorie confidently repeated her original accusation. Miss Ward knowingly exploited a clerical. And Grant cut in, his voice firm, carrying across the room. No, she didn't. The interruptions stunned everyone, even Elena. Grant rose, placing documents on the table. My team mishandled her file. They ignored timestamped submissions. They enforced policies inconsistently, and they humiliated her in public. A hush spread. The fault is ours, not hers. The board members exchanged looks. Marjorie's face tightened. Sir, that's an overstatement. It's the truth, Grant said, and it will be corrected. For the first time, the power dynamic flipped. The wealthy CEO standing up publicly against his own structure, while Elena watched from the seat where she'd once been judged, not begging, not apologizing, simply being seen, accurately, finally. The room shifted, and Elena felt something unfamiliar, justice landing on her side. A week later, Elena stood once again outside Grant Whitmore's penthouse door, the same door where she'd placed Micah with shaking hands. But this time, she wasn't leaving anything behind. She was carrying her son, warm and awake in her arms, his small fingers gripping her coat as if claiming the moment with her. Grant opened the door before she knocked. No shock now, no confusion, just quiet understanding. The board cleared your name, he said. Fully. And the assistance is reinstated, properly this time. Elena nodded. I know, they called this morning. A pause settled between them, but not an uncomfortable one. She held out an envelope. Thin, worn, the same one she'd once clutched like a lifeline. Inside were the remaining $6.25 she had saved from that week of chaos. I'm keeping this, she said softly. Not because I need it, but because it reminds me I stood even when everything fell apart. Grant nodded. Your mother would have been proud. He simply accepted the truth of it. She turned to leave, Micah curling into her shoulder. At the end of the hallway, she glanced back at the door, no longer a symbol of fear or desperation. Now, it was just a door, and she was walking forward on her own terms. Some promises are loud, but others live quietly, waiting for the moment someone chooses to honor them. Elena didn't rise because someone saved her. She rose because she refused to bow, even when the world mistook her strength for desperation. And Grant learned that real responsibility isn't written in contracts or titles. It's written in the courage to make things right. If this story moved you, inspired you, or made you think about the power of dignity, fairness, and second chances, like, comment, and subscribe for more stories just like this.